Well, Camilo, thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit
My
about
pleasure.
yourself?
Sure. So I'm from Colombia. I'm currently living in Germany because I'm doing my master in satellite technology at the University of Würzburg. I'm currently writing my master thesis. I'm also part of the Space Generation Advisory Council, and I'm also alumni from the International Space University. And I will start soon an internship at SES in Luxembourg. So I'm quite excited for the future to come. And of course, excited for the Moon project, that is coming in the next few years with all the things happening. And now with this Dear Moon project, I think the space industry is becoming super exciting these days.
Absolutely. And I was reading that you're actually studying optical communication between satellites.
Yeah, that's my master thesis. So my studies are focused on small satellites, CubeSats, and my thesis is about like how to do optical communications with these small spacecraft. Thing is, with the miniaturization of technology, we should keep moving forward on how to do connection among the spacecraft and looking forward to what is coming, because currently we have them in low Earth orbit, but we would like to do something else in medium orbit, maybe geo, and of course in the moon. So for that, we need like a more robust communication platforms.
And whenever I read that, I immediately thought of Starlink with the interconnection between
Yeah.
the satellites. I was just wondering, um, have you had a chance to take a look at what they're planning and how does that tie
Well,
into your work?
yes, yes, yes. I mean, I think it's exciting what they are doing, and especially when you look into the social aspect of the project, I think it's exciting. My only concern, and I think it's the entire concern of all the industry, is the space debris. Space sustainability, because the more the spacecraft we put into low Earth orbit, the more like we are some kind of affecting this resource. Like we humans tend to think that everything is unlimited. That we can exploit it without consequences. However, yeah, the low Earth orbit it's becoming super crowded. So I don't know what is going to happen if we launch 4,000 more satellites, and then it's not only Starlink. We also need to think on Kuiper, the constellation that Jeff Bezos is intending to launch. So I mean, it's exciting, of course, but it's just like we need like a balance, and of course, keep thinking on space sustainability.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking about those launch windows. It's like they're like
Yeah.
this big right now, but then they're getting shorter. It's like you got to launch this millisecond, or you're going to run into stuff.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we are becoming almost like 8 billion people in the planet, and a lot of people, like between 3 billion to 4 billion, don't have like internet connection nowadays, right? So we really need, if we want to bring connectivity to them, we need like to launch more spacecraft. However, at what cost? So we need like a kind of balance, but it also comes with human rights, because internet nowadays is a human right, because it helps us for education, for medicine, for remote medicine, telemedicine. So we really need these platforms on orbit. However, we also need to be mindful on, like, okay, it's becoming super crowded. What if I don't know, something super bad happening in the orbit, and then we cannot go out anymore, and we cannot launch any more satellites because we have so much debris up there. So that's the entire like everybody's worried about, and that's the entire argument. It's like, what if we keep launching without taking care of it? So that's why after a certain amount of time we need to bring them back. But Starlink is like, they're in low Earth orbit, so I think it's not gonna be a problem for the orbiting, but still.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they've done a lot of work in terms of making sure that they're able to deorbit the satellites and
Yeah,
figuring out
yeah,
the.
I know Elon and the entire Starlink team are super aware of that. And this also brings us to the point for the astronomers, for the entire astronomer community all over the world, that they are concerned about what is going to happen with their observations. Because I mean, the satellites at some point are going to start affecting their observations. So I mean, we are living in indeed in exciting times, and we are facing new challenges in technology development and exploration and everything, you know. And I think it's exciting because that's how humanity keeps expanding, keeps evolving, you know, like we keep growing as a civilization. I mean, this is not a matter of countries. This is a matter of the entire civilization, you know. And this brings us to the journey to the moon and to the journey to Mars. You know, we love to be under a flag, you know, like be nationalistic, but like these journeys are teaching us that we have to do it as a global community, right? Because you need a global effort. Like maybe this country doesn't have the entire hardware, but this country has the minds, you know. So we need to come together. So you have the hardware and I have the mind. So okay, let's work together, you know. And that's how technology development works, right? So
Yeah, and you talk about this is needed for kind of like the evolution of humanity.
mhm.
And the internet's great. I mean, it
Mhm.
allows for you in Germany to teach people in Colombia about satellite
Yeah, yeah,
engineering.
I've been doing during the past 6 months. I've been giving some talks. I've been doing these activities. This is like an outreach that I do, not only Colombia but with other countries in Latin America. I also the last time that I did it was in Nepal. Well, in Nepal it was pretty exciting, and yeah, I mean, I we can do that because of the internet technology. If not, I mean, just imagine 100 years ago, in the middle of a pandemic with no internet, like I don't know what we'll be doing. You know, it's insane. But yeah, internet allow us to reach like really remote communities, really of course long distances. Right now we are doing it with fiber optics and of course with some satellites in space. However, yeah, the technology is allowing us to reach further, to do more, you know. So I think it's pretty exciting, all the technological development that we are facing nowadays.
And I guess I was thinking more of like the laser connections between the Starlink satellites and your master's thesis. I was
Okay.
wondering, is it using like uh, the same like technology you're researching, or what do you think?
So Starlink, yeah, because it's they need to keep like a sort of connection among them. So they use these laser devices that allow them to be like in a certain altitude and be interconnected among them, because sometimes they need to transfer data, and the way to transfer data faster and in a more reliable way is through lasers. I am not sure. I think Starlink is not doing satellite formation flying. My research is a little bit focusing into satellite formation flying. However, for transferring data from one satellite to another in a more reliable way, lasers are being used. And it's not only in Starlink, like a lot of spacecraft are doing that. For example, the Copernicus program from the European Commission is using intersatellite link connections for transferring data from the spacecraft in LEO to a spacecraft in GEO, and then back to the ground station, because that's more reliable and even faster. Because, for example, I have, let's say my hen is the planet Earth, right? And then I have this spacecraft orbiting in LEO, and then my ground station is here, right? Mm, and then so when the satellite the I don't know, Sentinel-1 is passing here, it doesn't have connection with the ground station. But then my satellite in GEO has a direct connection and constant, right? So the way we do it is my Sentinel-1 sends all the data through intersatellite link connections using laser technology to the satellite in GEO, and then it established the satellite in GEO, established a direct connection with my ground station. So I can have like a almost immediate connection with my ground station, even though if I am not in the field of view of my ground station, right? So that allows us to have like a constant data flow. And then my spacecraft in LEO doesn't need to keep storing data, because what if something happened and I don't want to lose that data, right? Because that's affecting my research, that's affecting my researchers. So Yeah, there are a lot of things that intersatellite links and optical telecommunications allow us to do in terms of data rate and data transfer. And just imagine what we can do in the future, in the near future, if we wanna do a data transfer from the moon, from our future research on the moon to the Earth. What if we want to establish a constant connection? So yeah, it's super great what we are doing in terms of laser communications, and of course, like all the satellites I mean, for the coming constellations, all the satellites, the intention is to have like a optical, sorry, an intersatellite link using optical devices. In this case, it's laser, because as I just explained, it's easier to transfer data and to keep them synchronized. It's a matter of synchronization, right? So that's all the things that, sorry, that's one of the things that allow us, that we're allowed to do with using lasers.
I was also thinking you're talking about satellite formation flying, and
Mhm.
there's been a few missions, like I think the Grail mission to map the,
Mhm.
the density of the moon. I believe I
Mhm.
had two satellites that flew in formation, communicating with each other and measuring the distance between
Mhm.
them. Um,
Mhm.
is this the type of satellite formation flying that you're
Mhm.
thinking about?
Actually, yes and no. I mean, of course, those are like the first missions doing a satellite formation flying. However, nowadays we are doing satellite formation flying with a small spacecraft. So, for example, here at the University of Würzburg and the Centrum für Telematik, they are doing research on satellite formation flying using 3U CubeSats. So, for example, last year they launched the NetSat constellation. It's a constellation of 4 CubeSats, 3U CubeSats. It's a technology demonstration for doing formation flying in a small spacecraft. And this technology demonstration is going to lead to another mission that is called Cloud CT. And Cloud CT is a joint partnership between, of course, the University of Würzburg, the Centrum für Telematik, and what is the other organization? It's one in Israel. Is I think, if I am not mistaken, I apologize if I am doing a mistake. It's with the University of Technion, I believe. I am not really sure. I apologize if I am making a mistake, but it's between Israel and Germany, and they want funding from the European Commission. Yeah, European Commission, I think so. But the point is, this project is aiming to launch a constellation of 10 CubeSats, 3 CubeSats into low Earth orbit to study the clouds, and this will allow us to monitor climate change and, of course, for example, volcanic eruptions. So that's one of the scopes of this project. And the big backbone of Cloud City is doing satellite formation flying with the small satellites. So it's a big thing for the next couple of years.
How many satellites would be in the formation?
So Cloud City is 10 satellites, is 10 spacecraft, and NetSat, the one that they launched last year, is four satellites.
And basically, this is just to create like a wider um, aperture or field of view to monitor the Earth, or what's the purpose of
Yeah,
having a formation?
so satellite formation flying allow us to distribute the task among different spacecraft, right? So I am not entirely sure for Cloud City, like which instruments and like all the technicalities, all the specific details of this mission. However, the idea of redistribute the task is to have like a bigger coverage of the project, right? So of course, like they will be able to cover like a wider area on the globe. But the scope is the same. Is doing research on the clouds, like measuring the scattering of the light, I think, from the clouds, in order to identify different characteristics of how climate change is affecting cloud formations, something like that. I think that's where they are going. I'm not really sure. I apologize, and I'm sorry for the audience that is watching this, for not having the specific details, but that's the scope to cover a wider area, and the study subject are in the clouds.
That's really interesting. And um, I mean, it seems like satellite to satellite laser communication, optical communication is going to become a very vital.
Nowadays is a key feature in a spacecraft intersatellite link connections, because as I just explained, it allows us to have a constant data rate between the spacecraft and the ground, even though if my spacecraft is not in my field of view. So I can just keep a constant data rate, a flow of data coming to my ground station, and downloading all the time. So I don't need my spacecraft to keep storing. And in terms of reliability, it has a great impact. And just imagine when we're going to Mars, right? I mean, this technology is going to be key for our assets when we go to Mars.
Absolutely. And the great thing about the optical communication is you don't have to worry about using the same frequencies as everybody else because it's like directional and it's point to
Mm-hmm.
point.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I mean, I have on the ground for I mean, both the ground and the satellite needs to have like the same optical device. So I will have on ground I have a telescope pointing to my satellite, either to my satellite in LEO if I am tracking at the moment my LEO, or just a constant link with my satellite in GEO to 36,000 kilometers.
Hmm.
It's a telescopic. It's a telescope that is following. Mhm.
That's really awesome. Um and you're also interested in actually traveling to space yourself. You signed up for the To the
Yeah,
Moon project.
I wish. Yes,
Uh
that's one of my biggest dreams. You know, like since I was a little kid in Colombia watching Discovery Channel, Nat Geo, History Channel, and of course, I don't know if you remember back in the 90s. I think it's 1996, the TV show The Cape. I think
no.
it was The Cape. I mean, I just remember like a few episodes that I watched, but that TV show was basically, um, I mean, it was a drama show explaining how they select the astronauts, how they train, and how they send them to space using the space shuttle. I think it was from 1996, if I am not mistaken. Um, so watching these TV shows and all these documentaries like sparked my interest in in space, right? So I was like, I remember having 6 years and I already memorizing all the planets and like the exact order of the planets. And since I was like 7, I knew I wanted to become an astronaut. And so when I started high school, I knew that I had to love mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and of course that I needed to learn English because in Colombia we don't speak English, we speak Spanish. So since I was a little kid, I knew that I needed to learn English if I wanted to become an astronaut. Nowadays, I don't need to become an astronaut to go to space because, well, we have the commercialization of space of the private companies trying to bring either space tourists or commercial astronauts into space. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for all the features that is coming, and will, for example, with the Space Hero competition that they are working hard to launch it soon in the mid of 2021. And then of course this project, the Dear Moon, that the Japanese billionaire is funding to bring people, 8 people, civilians, artists, and I think also I hope I am selected because I'm not an artist. I am an engineer. So they are selecting artists, and I hope they also select engineers to go to the moon is to fly by in 2023. So just imagine all what is happening. So I really hope I can be part of that group.
I hope you can be too. I guess
That would
just
be
to make sure,
amazing.
did you fill out the screening form for it?
Yes,
You
yes,
did.
I did, and it was funny because at the beginning I misunderstood the question, so I answered something not different, but in a not in the way they wanted to, and then somebody said like, "Did you guys propose a period?" It's like, did I have to propose a period? So I just uh, rephrase it, and then I put like, if I am allowed, I will bring this period with me to the flyby to the moon. That is basically in late 2019, um, a project that we submitted to UNUSA to be sent to the space station was selected, and we want to record microbial activity in microgravity. So I propose, well, if I am allowed to go to the moon, I would love to bring this piece of hardware with me just to study how the colonies grow in a gravity that is super far from Earth, that is close to the moon. So just to see the differences, how it's gonna be. I mean, the difference between the microgravity and the space station and the microgravity near to the moon. And the scope of this project, for example, is to see how diarrhea causing bacteria grow in a solid matter in this vein is um, in a petri dish. So we want to grow them in a petri dish, and we want to see the growth rate of the colonies. And you may be wondering, like, why diarrhea? I mean, well, just imagine you have a diarrhea in a space and you don't know how to mitigate it, right? So we want to contribute with this little research to the medical community, and maybe this can also have like some kind of impact back on Earth. So yeah, this is the kind of project that we are doing with my team. So I am just part of the engineering team, so I'm building the payload, and we have a biologist doing all the biology part, like with the colonies. But it will be amazing to if I am selected to bring this to the moon, but I highly doubt it. I don't know. There are 1 million people applying, so
It's great to see that much excitement about it.
yeah. At least I know that in 2022 my piece of hardware is gonna fly to the space station. So I'm pretty sure that right now that's gonna fly to the space station. It's gonna be hectic if I am selected and I can take that to the moon. That would be, I don't even want to imagine. But to be honest, I doubt it because there are 1 million people. So I don't know. I'm positive, but I'm also realistic.
Well, hopefully this is only one of many, many different contests.
Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed. And I think in the next coming years, the democratization of space and the space travel is going to be like wider, and more people will be able to travel. So I'm really positive for what is coming in the next coming decades.
And did you know that NASA is planning to send people back to the surface of the moon in 2024?
Yes, of course, with the Artemis program, and a lot of countries have signed the Artemis Accords. So I think it's super great to see that not only the United States and the European Union are coming together to bring this project to reality, but also another countries such as Australia, Saudi Arabia. I think is also one of the signatures of the Artemis Accords. The United Arab Emirates. So countries that 60 years ago were not part of the a space race, now are becoming part of this new space era, bringing people and hardware to the moon. So I think it's amazing, and even more to see that actually they are open to more nationalities. So I think it's great with all happening. And of course, we also need to mention China, right? I mean, it is not only now the United States, the European Union, but it's also China, like building hardware, like building the next space station. And of course, they also have their Moon and Mars project. So I think it's exciting for all what is happening in terms of how humans as a civilization are working to become interplanetary species, right? Because as soon as we establish a moon base, even though it is American, European, Chinese, Russian, Colombian, whatever, it's still a human base on the moon. So as soon as we do that, we'll become an interplanetary species. I think it's amazing. As a civilization, I mean, it's great. And I hope to be an active part of that.
I think you already are.
I think so, yeah. In a little small piece, but yeah, at least I just want to contribute to humanity. I think that's at the end of the day, that's what you are called to be, contribute to the society in a really meaningful and impactful way. So I think I am doing it in just inspiring kids through my talks on Zoom.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just opening up their eyes to the possibilities and that, there are these careers out there and there's a
Yeah,
real
and
path.
Nathan, is incredible to see that a lot of people are not aware of that. For example, our phones are connected to satellites, that we are receiving satellite data all the time on our phones. People don't are not aware of that. They just take the technology for granted. So just bringing that aware to the new generation, to these kids, to these teenagers all over the place. I think it's just amazing, and of course inspiring them to pursue a career in STEAM, to kids, to ladies, to girls, all in my home country, Colombia. That's amazing, because we really need more people working towards this career, working towards this space goal. So I think it's amazing to be part of that.
It is. Yeah. And there's spaces for everybody. We need everybody in space.
Yeah, a space for everyday citizens. That's my hashtag. Yes, we need a space for everybody, and we need to involve everyone. Sometimes we think a matter of nationality. So, for example, I cannot work for NASA because I am not American. Um, but sometimes we think that it's a matter of nationality, and no, I think it's just a matter of pursuing your passion and believing in what you are able to do, and working hard for that, because nothing is easy, and especially in space, this industry is everything but not easy.
And like New Zealand, they created a rocket company. Who would have
Yes,
thought that? So
yes, 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 yes. And I mean, not only New Zealand, there are rocket companies. For example, here in Germany, there are two. There are Isar Aerospace and Rocket Factory Augsburg. They are aiming to launch small satellites into space. So now it's not the United States and the typicals, not the United States and Russia, but now, of course, Germany, New Zealand, and I'm pretty sure there are more companies in the coming years that will be, like be launching rockets, and of course hardware into space. So yeah, space is truly becoming an international and globally asset where everybody's actually taking part of it. So I think it's amazing. And as I said before, I'm really excited for what is coming in the next decades, and how everybody will be able to contribute, right? Because I mean, we even are making coffee right now in the space station, right? So, and I know there's another company aiming to bake bread on the space station. So now you don't need to be an engineer. If you are the best baker on Earth, you can start making bread in space. So when you think on all the potentialities and how space can have an impact on everyone's life, it's just amazing. And then you start believing that everything indeed is possible.
it is.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and it was so
Thank
good to
you for
meet
inviting
you.
me, Nathan. It's amazing to talking to you.
It's amazing to talk to you too, and I look forward to see what you do, and good luck with your position at SES and everything
Thank
else
you. Yeah,
you
it's an
have going
internship.
on.
I hope my boss thinks that I'm a good professional, and then hires me afterwards.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure,
Yeah,
or
thank
he or
you,
she,
Nathan.
he or she.
Yeah, it's a he and a she. So my big boss is in Washington D.C., and my direct boss is a she, Laura ten Blumenthal. She's in the Netherlands actually, but she's an American lady.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. Well, thank you again so much, and I look forward to seeing you online, and
Thank
God,
you, Nathan.
I hope you
Yeah,
continue doing your outreach.
yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much.
okay, have a good rest
Yeah.
of your day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.